welcome to I Wrote That. My name is Larissa. I am your host, and this is a place where we bring authors and book industry experts together to talk about all things books, publishing, editing, writing, and marketing. Today, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Burkinshaw. After studying English and classics at Cambridge University, Jennifer taught English and drama for 20 years, including in Paris. She then did her master's in creative writing for children, where before writing her novel, Happiness Seeker, she then wrote Igloo as her second novel, but first to be published. Hey, hi Jennifer, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm at the end of my day. I think you're at the beginning of yours, are you?
Yeah, it's like 11:30 a.m. my time. Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun when we get to cross paths like this in different parts of the world, and you see me in the morning, I see you in the evening, kind of a thing.
Yes.
It's very neat. And we have listeners from all over the world too, so everybody's in a
Wonderful.
different part of their day. Yeah, so you are an author, a new author, a newly published author, I should
I
say.
am. Yes.
Yes, you just
Very
launched
good.
your book, Igloo, last, was it Friday?
Yes, a week ago, yeah.
Wow, yeah. So how's the process been?
It's been the most exciting week. So it started with a launch party, and then I've had 2 school visits, a blog tour, and tomorrow I've got a signing and a Christmas fair. So I couldn't fit much more in, really, I don't think.
You really went all out for your launch. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. And so you went to schools. What
I
were
had
you
2
doing
school
with
visits.
schools?
Yeah, using the start of Igloo, the first chapter of Igloo, to spark off their creative writing. So they were pitching new stories featuring igloos with wonderful titles in impossible places. It has been such good fun and such lovely children.
What a unique idea. How did you come across an idea to do that?
I don't know. I suppose it's part of being a writer and actually I was an English teacher, so I suppose I'm used to trying to tie things together, like kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So get them to read a bit of Igloo and also to help them with their writing.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. What age were you with?
11 to 14. And
Wow.
so enthusiastic. And then the older ones, the 14-year-olds who are preparing for an exam, they had to analyse the first page and a half of Igloo like they were an examiner. So we read it together, and they picked out bits that they thought I'd done well. So that was really exciting.
That can be very scary because the critique of children is
It was a bit scary because some of them weren't annotating. I was looking around the table and seeing they hadn't found anything good, but in the end, they all found something.
good. That's good. It's so tricky, hey, as you start to roll out and get reviews and things like that. Like one thing that I always kind of coach people on is that your book isn't for everyone, right? It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but for the people that you wrote it for, it is going to hit home and feel so good to them. And it's those reviews that you need to focus on, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And reviews can be so dependent on how the person's feeling that day. Like those children, one of them could have had a terrible morning and be able to find nothing right in any part of their day, right? So yeah, that's very, very cool. And your book is a Christmas book, correct?
It is. It starts on Christmas Eve and finishes at the end of January, but most of it's focused in a short week in the French Alps. And then it switches back to England and then, back to the Alps again, actually.
Very cool. So were you sitting on this book for a while before you published to get it close to the Christmas window, or did it just happen to work out this way?
I got my publisher only 6 months ago, and we had to decide whether to publish it this year or next. And I thought I might run out of steam by next year, so we went all out to get it published this year. Mm-hmm. So it was ready in September, but we held it back for November.
Right. Mm. What was it like getting a publisher?
Really hard work, because I have to be truthful and say I didn't get an agent. I had some close misses with a few agents. Some of them looked at redrafts and were very close, but I haven't got an agent. So then you've got a much narrower range of publishers that you can approach. So I was really fortunate that I've got my very small indie publisher who was really enthusiastic about it. And I haven't missed having an agent because I've never had one, so I don't know what I'm missing. I've had to do everything myself, but I'm happy to do that.
How long did you query agents for?
My querying.
Yeah, send them letters and requests.
Yeah, oh, probably about 18 months, because it takes a long time to get replies from a lot of them. And for 2 or 3 of them, I was doing further drafts. But yeah, it took a long time, and I kept going and going. And then started approaching publishers that would accept submissions without agents.
How was it, the mindset of dealing with rejection letters and this, or never hearing back, or whatever it might have been from literary agents?
I think I've got toughened up to it because although Igloo's my debut, I'd already written one young adult novel, and that had very nearly got published, but I'd had to go through a lot of rejections with that, and this very, very near miss. And I think I'm quite toughened to it and quite realistic. I mean, I was prepared for Igloo not getting published, and it really hurts when you're a very new writer, but I've been writing a while and I know what to expect now, I think.
And you went through all of this process. Well, how long did it take you to write Igloo?
Well, that's a bit of a story in itself. There was a much darker version of Igloo I worked on with my editor that was just ready to publish when the pandemic struck, just ready to submit. We were going to submit it to agents. And then my editor said, the market's changed completely. Nobody wants to read such a dark story. It was very dark. It needed a lot of sensitivity. So I rewrote it during the pandemic into the much more upbeat story it is. But I'm not going to talk. The new version is the upbeat version.
Yeah, I was going to ask which version, and maybe there isn't an answer to this, but which version did you enjoy writing more?
Oh, that's difficult. I suppose the second version, because I'm a very, very big lover of Christmas, and it's set in the Alps where we used to own a chalet, and it's very dear to my heart. But then the dark version was also had the same setting. So, but I think to write a Christmas book is a bit of a dream come true, to be honest.
That's very cool. Yeah, it's so interesting to see the revisions that books go through based on market trends. And there's some writers that are diehard, stick to their genre, like market be damned kind of a thing. I'm going to write what I want to write. But then there's the more flexible writers that, like you, that are able to adapt to the needs of the audience kind of a thing. And I don't think one theory or one approach is better than the other per se. I mean, some amazing things have come out of genres that just didn't exist before, or people breaking the ceiling and the glass ceiling of their time kind of a thing. But it's always interesting to watch people respond to feedback and see what they do with that feedback.
That's true. I could have ignored the feedback completely, and maybe the darker version would have got somewhere, and I'll never know. But I want to be read, so I adapted, and I trusted my editor as well.
Yeah. So who is your target audience? Who are you marketing to?
Well, I mean, ostensibly it's young adults 12 to 18, but it's definitely being read as much by adults, because I know some of them have left reviews and some of them are reading it on Goodreads, and I sell it in person at Christmas fairs and in bookshops to adults, even old people. People in their 80s are reading it, so I don't think it's just a young adult read.
And your story is rooted in kind of finding love. Is that true?
I think it's more rooted in being able to be yourself and being determined to be yourself. So I'd rather focus on the coming of age aspect of it, because the main character has to fight really hard against her parents and her school to do the things she wants to do with her future. But she finds an ally in the French boy who she falls in love with. But the A plot is the coming of age and the romance is the B plot. Yeah.
That's fun. Different layers. That's really cool. You mentioned that you have a master's in creative writing for children.
Mm.
What? That's two very different genres or
Uh,
aspects.
no, the creative writing for children covers the whole age range, so it covered right up to the top of young adult. So I focused on the young adult part of that qualification. I have written
Okay.
I've written short stories for younger children, but I always intended to be a young adult writer because I feel like a young adult in my head, even though I'm in my 50s.
How long have you wanted to be a writer for?
Since my early 40s. So I probably came to it later than some people, and it just got more and more insistent. But I knew I had to learn the craft. I don't think I'm a natural genius. I find it quite hard. I've had to work at it. Yeah, so probably about 15 years or more I've been wanting to be an author.
What does work at it look like for you?
Work ethic.
Work at it, like you said you had to
Ah,
work at writing. You're not naturally born
yeah.
that way.
Studying a lot of young adult books. I've been mentored with my first book, reading lots of how to write books. There are some that I really couldn't do without, such as Story Genius, about the emotional arc of main characters. I've done lots and lots of courses in plotting. It's not something that's inbuilt in me. I'm really curious to learn it, but I did need to learn it. And I think most of us know it's an endless journey, isn't it? Um,
Mhm.
Writing, you can always learn something new. And it's that
Mhm.
drive to get a story as good as it can be, isn't it? And I couldn't do that by myself. And I
Mhm.
love working with an editor. I think that's my favourite part of it, bouncing it back and forth.
Yeah. How did you find your editor?
Um, it'll only mean anything in the UK. There's a writing academy called the Golden Egg Academy that mentors children and young adult writers. So I found her through them, and she's freelance and she works for the major publishing houses. But in the time that she's got left, she freelances for people like me.
Hmm,
So
that's
really
great.
excellent editor. Yeah.
How long did you work with her for?
Uh, Probably 5 years altogether
Wow.
on the dark version and the the upbeat version. But I mean, you'll know there's a lot of waiting around, isn't there?
Mhm.
I'd get a draft ready, and then she's busy on something with a much more urgent deadline. So I could be waiting 3 months before I hear back from her. So it sounds like a long time, but a lot of it's waiting for her availability because I'm not top priority. But
Mhm.
you learn to be very patient, I think, as a writer, don't you? There's a lot of waiting.
There is, yeah, and I think that is one of the biggest reasons people choose indie outside of the struggle of finding a literary agent is just the sheer time it takes to
Yes.
query and to find a publisher and then to work through their revisions and their edits. And I think this, and I'm speaking from personal experience, I do not have the patience for that. I
No.
don't want to have a book that's sitting, virtually ready to go and wait for 2 years.
Can that happen?
Well, I mean, you queried for 18 months, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
then
Mm,
and then the time from there that it takes to for them to decide on your publishing date can be a really long time.
mm,
And I think that's one of the deterrents from the traditional publishing route is the time it takes and the
mhm,
rejection letters and the things we talked about. If you don't have that mindset that a rejection letter doesn't affect your value as a person, a lot of people can take those very personally, and
mm.
myself included. It's very challenging to get a rejection letter because it feels like, it's not it, they're saying you're not worth it, you're not worth taking a chance on, and that can be really hard as an aspiring author who has put so much work into something,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, it's true.
um we have an interesting connection story. So we don't know each other very well, but we met on TikTok.
We did.
And I'm curious, How has TikTok been for you as an author?
That's a great question. Well, I only came onto TikTok in September when I suddenly woke up and realised I needed to promote my book because my publisher wouldn't, and I had to learn it completely from scratch, and I was completely lost and frightened of it. And it's just a gradual learning process, isn't it, where you find your way around, and finally you get the algorithm to show you people that you're interested in, which is authors and readers, isn't, for us anyway, I would say. So now I'm fairly comfortable there, but it's taken 2 months to be comfortable, and I left it far too late to start on there. But I love it. I really love it. Yeah.
That's what I find too. I had a client ask me like, how has it been being an indie author in particular? And I was like, well, the community is amazing. And she's like, oh, how so? And I was like, well, TikTok. It is just like, I'm on Instagram as well as an author and a coach, but it's just not the same as TikTok, in my opinion. TikTok is so supportive.
It
And
is.
so interactive. I think that's very cool. I can't even remember how we came across each other, but we swapped a couple of messages, we followed each other, and boom, we had a podcast set up.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is what an amazing opportunity just through book talk, I suppose.
Yeah.
It must have been, yeah. Or author talk. Yeah.
Author talk, book talk. Yeah. Authors of TikTok, all the hashtags you can use, right?
No, it's a lovely community, and I don't know why anybody would think otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. I've made some pretty cool connections on there. And just like you mentioned, maybe you started marketing a little too late, but I've been on Book Talk for 2 years now. And in that time I've gone through a couple NaNoWriMos, like the National Novel Writing Months, and I've gone through 5 books where I've written, not published all of them, but written them. And just the process of sharing your creativity with a community. I don't know about you, but when I wrote my first book, and maybe when you started writing your books, I found it very isolating. And I didn't know anything about the book world, but as soon as I stumbled into Book Talk, it just opens up. You will learn so much because you have these other experienced people with other points of view giving you tips and tricks and things like that. It's very cool.
Yeah. The only other society or community that I find that kind of connection with is SCBWI, which you'll know, the Society of Children's Writers, Book Writers and Illustrators, which is UK and US, isn't it? That's where I do have community, both in person and online. But you do need a community of writers to support you, definitely.
Yeah, totally. It can make or break your project. If like I for example, just this morning, like I have my new books coming up. By the time this episode airs, it'll be launched. But I'm going through Amazon KDP and I'm ready to launch them. December 1st is coming up. I've been promoting it. It's here. KDP says they won't publish it. And just, the heartbreak that you feel. But one of the first things I did was I went on TikTok and I said, hey, this is what's happening. And, leaned on that community for support. Like other people have gone through this. You're not the only one, where Amazon says, no, thank you. Not no, thank you, but you need to make changes. And so I have to go back and make some revisions. But just to know that you have somewhere to lean should something, and when something goes wrong. Yeah.
Especially when the people you live with or your family and other friends may not be into books at all. They just can't understand what it's like to write and how difficult it is and the ups and downs of it. Yeah, and why would they? But you do need writer friends, definitely.
Yeah, writer friends, writer experts, all of these people. Like you brought an editor in and you had an editor for 5 years. Like that is a confident to the best, right? So that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just wrap up with one question if you don't mind. And that is, what is one tip you can leave readers and potential or future writers with?
Do you mean about promoting your book or writing your book?
Whatever you want.
Either. I think the one thing that stuck with me from my mentoring, and it may sound a bit odd, is make your book about one thing. So don't try and make it too complex or about lots of things. There should be like a beating heart at the core of it. That's what I try and remember, that there's one thing. And I suppose in Igloo, it is the igloo that changes my main character's life. So I suppose it's that's the beating heart of Igloo. Yeah, so keep to the core of your book.
Awesome. I have to ask a follow-up question. How did you come to that core in your book?
Oh, that's a really hard question. That's the hardest question you've asked, Larissa. Well, I suppose the igloo was the first thing that launched the story in my head, because I thought, what would it be like to meet somebody in an igloo when you both want that small space and you can't get away from them. And the igloo is really important for my two main characters. And it's also a metaphor for their relationship. So the igloo will melt when winter passes, and will their relationship also melt? So yeah, the igloo carries on right the way through the story. So it is about an igloo, several igloos in fact. And it's got another meaning, a symbolic meaning as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that last little tidbit into your book. That's very cool.
Oh, thank you.
And where can readers find your book? Let's finish off with that, actually.
It's on Kindle, Amazon Kindle, Amazon paperback. Yeah. Am I allowed to share one piece of really good news from last night?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
This was in the middle of last night when I shouldn't have been looking on Amazon, but this was on the hot releases for ebooks for holiday reads, and Igloo was number one, and I couldn't believe it. And then I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think it's not number one anymore. It's slipped to number two, but there's a few books that keep swapping around at the top, but it was number one, and I've got a screenshot of it.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks, Larissa. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it was so nice having you. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and it flew by.
Good.
Good luck with yours.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.